it's Amy Rich with amyrich.net. I am excited to share another alternate paper pumpkin project with you today. It is a good one. You just need to have your trimmer ready. We're going to do a lot of cutting and trimming today and using quite a bit of product from the paper pumpkin kit. Just keep in mind, you can do this alternate project without paper pumpkin as well, just using some supplies that you have in your craft room. So enjoy and let's get started. I think this kit is so beautiful and it makes 3 gorgeous cards here as shown on the paper pumpkin instructions. And if you go to the inside, you can see all of the step-by-step instructions on how to make these 3 cards. But of course, as per usual, here in my studio, we like to create something new and different with some of the products in the kit. So let me show you what we are using for our alternate project today. We've got the Mossy Meadow card base right here. We've got one of the envelopes. Look at how gorgeous that envelope is. Oh my gracious, that is just beautiful. We've got one of the bonus gold foil honeycomb pieces. Love that. We've got the sunflower die ready to go. We've got we're going to need 3 of these bees. We've got the stamp set, and of course this particular kit comes with the soft suede and crushed curry little Stampin' Spots. So we have a lot of work to do, and I hope you're up for the challenge because it is a little bit challenging, but a lot of fun as well. I also have here a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 4 3/4 by 8, and it is scored every 2 inches. So it's scored at 2, 4, and 6. And then, of course, the card base 5.5 by 8.5, scored in half at 4 1/4. So these are extra pieces that we need, as well as a piece of evening evergreen cardstock. And we're going to start with that. We're just going to grab our leaf stamp from the stamp set. So you can see that I have already assembled several of the stamps from here. And one of those is the leaves. And I've discovered that if you wanted to use mostly items from the kit, you could take your soft suede ink pad and stamp your leaf on that evening evergreen cardstock, and it works out really well. So we're going to do 3 of those. And then we're going to cut those out. Okay, so we've got those cut out and ready to go. We're going to set those aside for later. Then we're going to grab our sunflower die. I'm just going to grab a piece of scratch paper here and grab our sunflower. Now, just so you know kind of how I figure out how to line this up, there's this bunch of petals right down here, and you can see that same bunch of petals down here. So if you kind of get those lined up, you can get them generally in the same place. I would not lose any sleep over it if you're off just a little bit when you stamp this. It's not going to be the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. So I was kind of all over the place there, but I got it. All right, so here we've got our sunflower, and then we'll take the center of our sunflower, which again I have mounted already on a block, and ink that up with the soft suede. Nothing earth-shatteringly different from the kit here, except I totally missed. It's not going to matter. We'll be fine. It'll be fine. So I'll set that aside as well. Then we're going to take our envelope. And now this is where things get a little bit tricky. So just watch and follow along. And I'm going to take this apart as carefully as I can, knowing that there will be, some areas that will be unusable probably, and that's okay. So we've got our envelope. Look at that beautiful design on that envelope. Now we're going to bring in our trimmer, and we're going to start by, and then I'm going to turn it so that this short flap over here that I tore apart is over here on the right hand side. And then I am going to put in my envelope so that these curved pieces are in the cutting area of the groove of the cutting space here. And then I am going to trim this section off. So then what I have is this right here. So now we're going to turn this and put that straight edge down at 4 3/4 inches. And then we will cut that other side off. So far then, we have these two long sides that are nice and straight. Then we're going to put the longer side up towards the top, and we're going to cut off that right hand side. So just kind of line that up so that it's right in the cutting groove. So we're cutting the corners off so that this rounded section comes off as well. So let me just scoot this down just a little bit. So you're not cutting much off, just a hair here on the edge, just to get that straight. Then we're going to take a 180 and turn that. And now we're going to cut 4 pieces in a row that are 1 7/8. All right, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so 1 7/8 by 4 3/4 is what these end up to be. Now I want to keep these in order, and I can check that later, but I'm just going to stack the most left one on top and work my way down just to kind of set those aside until I need them in a little bit. Then I'm going to take my piece of white cardstock that measures 4 3/4 by 8 and scored every 2 inches. And we're going to go to the bottom right corner and measure 2 inches up from that corner. And then we're going to use a pencil to make a little tick mark here at that 2-inch mark. So 2 inches from that bottom right. And then we're going to cut from the upper left corner to that tick mark right here. So let's line those up in the cutting groove so I know exactly where those are going to cut. And then I would suggest not cutting from that point. Either start down here at the bottom, which is out of camera focus, or start in the middle. So let me just raise this a little bit so you can hopefully see a little bit more here. So we've got those lined up, and we'll make that cut so that it's cut at an angle just like this. Okay. One more piece we need to take care of is this fun card base. Look at all that texture on there. I love it so much. So we're going to take this, and it doesn't matter which end we're cutting from, but we're going to cut this down to 5 1/4 inches. And then we're going to cut 4 inches from each of the short sides. So we're going to put this in at 4 inches and cut. And then we're going to turn, put this in at 4 inches and cut again. So that scored line here is the part we discard. All right, I think we're ready to move on. We're going to take our piece that's angle cut here, and we're going to fold a mountain fold in the middle and a valley fold on either side so that what you have is a W. And this will just help you see things a little bit better as we go. And then we're going to grab those 4 pieces and make sure those are in order, which they are. And we are going to make layers for these sections in our white piece. And I think the easiest way to do this is to lay it down on the section that you're going to add it to. And you can see the little bit of white on either side that will be there as a border. Then you go to the bottom and you want a double border there, so that when you flip this and cut it at that angle, then when you flip back, you can slide that layer down and look. Now you've got a border on top, and that same border on the bottom. So you're eyeballing it a little bit when you do that, but I think it works really well for getting the correct angle on your layer. So now we're going to add this, which was the envelope, remember. Kind of fun to see that come into play. And now we're ready for the next piece. So we're going to do it the same way. So we're going to look at our border on left and right, and we want double that at the bottom. And then we're going to flip it and cut it. I'm off a little bit. There we go. And then slide it down, and you've got those nice borders again. Now, if that bothers you a little bit and you have a little shifting happening when you're just holding it there, there is a way around that. You can put a little bit of adhesive there in the center of your section. Lay your next piece down. Remember, get that double border at the bottom, and then adhere that. Then it will stay into place as you cut. And then all you have to do is just carefully lift that off. You have to make sure your adhesive allows you to do that. I wouldn't use a liquid glue for that because that would be a little bit more permanent. And then you're able to remove it, add adhesive on the whole thing, and reposition it. Same thing for the last one. Double border. Flip and cut. Remove. Add your adhesive and slide it down. Next, let's bring in our card base, which is the thick basic white that I cut 5.5 by 8.5. And we're going to open that up, and we're going to adhere this on the ins. Nope, we're not. Hold on. I got ahead of myself. First, we want to put one of these beautiful green textured pieces over here on the left-hand side. And now we're going to adhere this in the middle. So let's see how this lays. You're going to want the center score line lined up with this center score line of the card base. You're going to have a little border of green on the left and a little border of green at the bottom. So what you're going to want to do is put adhesive only on these two outside sections. And you can be generous. And then we'll add this, remember, lining up those center score lines. That's an important piece of this. And then you're adhering these two ends. And I got a little adhesive over here, so I'll rub that off. So now when you close this, you've got this super fun fold here in the center of your card. That's so awesome. All right, so now I'm going to take my sentiment from the kit for a one-of-a-kind friend, and that I'm going to ink in soft suede ink and stamp that right up here in the white section, and you can sign it. There's room to sign it. Love it. Then let's go to the front side. We're going to add that other piece that we cut to the front of our card. It's going to go right in here. And then let's take that gold honeycomb specialty paper that was included in the kit. I am going to cut about half of it in just a blob. So I'm just going to go in with my scissors. I'm going to skip the borders. I'm going to make some of the blob bigger in one area so that we've just, like I said, got just a random blob here. We're going to add this to the front of our card about halfway down. So I'm going to use some liquid glue for that. You could also use just your regular Stampin' Seal, and then kind of get rid of the parts that end up sticking through these holes. It's a tricky thing to adhere, I'm not going to lie. So I'm just going to try to be careful. I tend to get it all over my fingers. And the holes in this really don't help the matter, but we will make it work. So adhere that down. Then we're going to take our leaves and our flower, and we're going to kind of curl the petals with my fingers. So we're going to do that all the way around the flower. And now for placement of these items, I'm going to have one leaf up here and a couple down here, and I just want to kind of lay them where I think I'm going to want them, and then stick my flower in there to make sure that's going to look okay. So now I think that'll be good. So I'm going to remove, and I'm not going to put adhesive all the way to the tip because I want that to lift a little bit off of the page. So we'll do both sides here. And then the flower will lay flat as well. Just adhesive in the middle so that those petals can lift up a little bit. So pretty. Next, you're going to take about 18 inches or so of our Simply Elegant trim, and I'm going to cut that in half. So really it's 2 pieces approximately 9 inches long, and I am going to double that up to create my bow. Now you could just use single if you have trouble getting your double bow made the way you like it. I like the look of a double bow, so that's why I chose to go for it. And just yank those loops until that knot is nice and tight. And then we're going to use a mini glue dot to adhere that. Where are my mini glue dots? There we go. We will use a mini glue dot to adhere that. It can be wherever you think it's going to look nice on your flower. And then I'm just going to trim these down so they don't go just too far over the edges of the card. Now here's where we're going to bring in our bees. So I'm going to grab 3 bees. And what I have discovered is that when I do the dimensionals for my bees, you can either use 1/4 of a dimensional, or they've got these great little dimensionals in the kit that you can put behind each of these bees. And then we're going to add these to our card. So I'll put 1 up here, hovering over the flower. I'm going to put 1 on the inside over here by the sentiment. And then another one down here by the flower. And finally, I'm going to grab the gold sequins in the Adhesive Back Seasonal Sequins on page 9 of the July to December mini catalog. And we'll just add that little extra touch of gold to our fabulous card. If I can ever get these. There we go. So pretty. Don't you just love this fun fold? And using the envelope on the inside just kind of finishes it all off with that cute little pop-up. So thanks for joining me again for another alternate paper pumpkin project. And of course, as always, or as most of the time, you can duplicate this project using pretty much any designer series paper and other supplies for the front. So the possibilities are seriously endless. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you again next month for another alternate paper pumpkin project.